everyone, welcome back to my channel, and I'm so sorry I haven't posted in quite some time. Unfortunately, we were actually dealing with a lot of house issues that we felt like all came, or broke at the same time. We had some water leaks, two cars or both our cars suddenly were not operational. We had some unforeseen roof issues, and it was just like one after the other, and it was a little bit overwhelming for us to deal with. So unfortunately, I haven't really spent almost any time in my scrapbook room, but I was cleaning everything up because I wanted to get back into the swing of things, and I was like, well, actually, now is the perfect time to show you guys where I scrapbook. I always love watching these videos from other scrapbookers here on YouTube. It's always nice to take some tips from or inspiration from other people. You'll see a lot of the things I will show you guys are inspired by other people that I've watched, so I will definitely also try and link everything down below if there's anything I do mention that you might find interesting. I am super fortunate. I have my little crafty corner here. That was actually my initial YouTube name. When we bought this house half a year ago, I was so happy that I was able to get like my own little space here. I always used to scrapbook just on my work desk, which it has its own challenges because you have to clean everything up every time you start your work day. But honestly, that still really worked. It was slowly but surely taking over the office space. So now it's so nice. I have everything together. But I thought this video might also be helpful for people that might, like me, have a smaller space. Because I do feel like I've kind of found my way on how to organize things efficiently. There's a couple ideas I have going forward in the future that I want to add, so I will definitely make like an update video on things that worked or things that I might have changed that were just a bit more efficient. But without further ado, I'm just going to pan us around and first focus on the most important area, which is my desk. Okay, so first I'm going to zoom out so you guys could see the desk as a whole. And let me just pan around so you guys maybe can see the full setup as a whole. So this is my area. I love it. And I have a nice window to look out of. And the desk, so the main focus area, which is my desk, is a standing desk. So I can have these little buttons here to move the desk up and down. And it was something I debated on for a very long time because standing desks are not cheap. And I wasn't sure if I was going to use it a lot. But I'm so glad I did because I actually really do use it quite frequently, especially when filming. It's so easy to have it raised. And the desk that I have is from Fazebo. I'll link it in the description down below. It definitely was the cheaper option I found online, and I bought it when it was on sale, and I feel like they go on sale quite a lot. I will say, if you like this, the desk that you see right there, that's my husband's where he does all of his stuff. He just has a singular desk, and that one is very wobbly. So I do think because of the fact that I have this L big, it's really, really heavy, it made it very sturdy, which I'm of course super glad I got that for scrapbooking, and it also provides me with enough space because honestly, when I start scrapbooking, this desk gets full in like 2 minutes. So yeah, I'm really happy with this desk. I really like it. I love the color as well. But I will navigate to this area, which is honestly where I do most of my actual scrapbooking. And so right in front of me, I want to have the items that I use almost on every layout. So when I go to this little box right here, which is from Michael's, I have all my dimensionals, I have some tape, I have these circle rings from Creative Memories that I use to quickly cut out circles. And then this is a bag I also use almost on every layout. It has all these like little daubers I use to ink up my edges, etc. And I think that's all that. Oh, and a little stamp chamois, which I also use almost on every layout. And then right here, I have my phone stand, which I use when I'm not filming. So when I want to watch something while I'm scrapbooking, I just have some painter's tape here if I want to use it for anything, some scraps. And then the Barely Art Glue, which I tend to use almost on every layout too. It has that precision tip and it dries clear, which is so, so nice. So yeah, I have that just right here. And then next to that, I have this little carousel that I got off of Amazon. And in that, I store my pencils. So I have two brands of pencils. I have the Stampin' Up pencils, which are the watercolor pencils, and I really, really like these. I think the quality of these are amazing. And then I have Prismacolor pencils, which I kind of treated myself when they went on sale because I noticed how much I really love coloring with just pencils. So yeah, that's in those back compartments. And then I have my fussy cut scissors and my repositional tape, which I use on every single layout. And I did get the question which one I use. I have the scrapbook.com one, and I'm now also testing out the Creative Memories one. But yeah, I love both actually. They're pretty good. And then I'm gonna pan right here. So I have these little caddy things from scrapbook.com where I keep some embellishments, little projects I'm working on, and I'll always have an empty one that I can use when I start a new layout. And then I'll just have my little embellishments in here. This guy has knocked us over a couple times, and then Mom can find all these little embellishments on the ground. So I might need to find a better place for these because of this little guy right here. But then this is my marker drawer, which actually this guy is also a menace with because he's figured out how fun it is to like shove all these out of there. So I'm not like a huge fan of it just because they do stick out a lot. Okay. They do stick out a lot, but it works for now. And it also, what I like is it fits currently all my different markers in here. So I have my Spectrum Noirs, my Tombos, my Stampin' Writes, and then my Stampin' Blends. I'm still working on my collection for these, but I really do like these. I love the felt tip on these. So yeah, they're right there. I do tend to use my pencils more than my markers, but I do want to use them more, so that's why I put it in front of me. So I just navigate to it more, otherwise I kind of forget. And then right here is a little kitty pole stand because they like to lay next to one another, even though in the summer they don't use it as much. And then below that I have a box with some photos, actually a lot of photos. I used to print my photos in bulk from Walgreens, and I do still really like the quality of them. It's just, I noticed I was just starting to throw away a lot of them that I then didn't end up using on the layout. And I also felt like it was really hard to know in advance like what sizing you'll need for your photos. So 2 or 3 years ago, Jill, my husband, he bought me my own little printer to use on my layouts, which has been amazing. And then I am going to pan up. I do have 2 like Cricut lights right here. I got these on sale. I do really like these. I'm currently testing out 2 other lamps to avoid glare on my layouts, but I do feel like this is still the best just because of how big the surface is, and that's of course what you're trying to look for. And I don't really want to attach anything to my ceiling. So yeah, I do like these, and I like how you can turn down like the warmth of the light. So I do think that's great. And then I have my Versamats here ready for me to finally start scrapbooking again. My die cutting machine, my paper cutter. This is the Creative Memories one, and it has all these extra blades in the back, which I really do like. I'm on the fence. I feel like there's no cutter that I've come across that cuts straight, because I don't want to go into detail here, but even if you look at this little plastic ridge, there is like the ever so slightest tilt in it, or I think it's at the top here somewhere. And it kind of drives me nuts, to be fair. So I have the Fiskars one, and it could be a me problem. I realize that, but I can't seem to cut like entirely straight. But yeah, I did learn that it helps to just line it up with the line at the top and not against the plastic. But yeah, I do really like the cutter. I love the blades in the back. It's just so nice if you're like adding a lot of papers to a layout just to create some interest. Then I have this glass board from Hobby Lobby, which I do still use for like my ink blending. I used to have it like underneath my layouts, but it just created too much of a glare, so I kept it here. And then I have an extra pair of like, I call them Versamats. I don't know what they actually technically are called, but it's just nice because I tend to often work on like 2 projects at a time, and that way I'll just add them to these. And then this is my little printer, the Epson PM400. I do really, really like this. I was on the fence in the beginning because I did feel like the colors were off versus my phone. I've learned that it really does depend on what type of photos. Like if it's outdoor photos, it does print beautifully. Sometimes skin color, but I think that's that way with every printer. It's so hard, you know, your phone is probably calibrated differently. Anyways, so, but I do really like it because it just allows me to be a little bit more precise with the sizing I want for my photos. And then here I have finished cards, memories and more cards, and some stamps, because I'm really bad. I make my cards and then I forget to send them. So I hope I'll do that with it being right here and ready to go. I'm just going to put us back in the stand and we'll go through my little storage unit next. All right, so the next important part is my storage unit. This is the Galax unit from IKEA. They have these in many different colors and sizes. I went with the 3 compartments, 4 rows, because honestly it was also the only thing that fit here. I could have maybe gone one higher, but I like kind of the openness this now gives. So at the top here I have all these little Lowe's compartments. This was definitely inspired by Jay Malmy, and I loved it because it fits here close to my heart, as well as Stampin' Up folders in there really nicely. So I did have some labels added to them, and I just grouped everything together, or have my Stampin' Up and Close to My Heart together. I first had them separate, but I felt like then you're kind of always reaching for one or the other. This way I just have everything together for like Christmas and autumn, sentiments and alphabet. And so the Close to My Heart folders are just the ones in, you know, how they were sold. And then Stampin' Up, again, this is a Jay Malmy tip, I did transfer to these little Amazon folders with the dies just because it saves up on space so much. Now Stampin' Up is actually going to move away from the DVD boxes that I still used for my red rubber stamps, and they're going to navigate to these like slimmer folders, which is really nice for people like me that don't have a ton of room. That way it just saves up on space so much. And my approach with these is they need to be easy, flip throughable. That's not a word, but I hope you guys understand what I mean with that. And once it's not, or it has gotten past that point, that's kind of a sign for me to go through them, see if there's any I really want to keep and move to another location, even though you probably won't reach for it then. So that's probably my sign to sell a couple. Underneath that, this is actually a monitor stand. I have all my inks from Close to My Heart, and then I also have my inks from Stampin' Up. I do want to move my Stampin' Up inks to some shelf units that I want to install right here, just because now it's starting to look a little bit clunky. For now it works, but I actually think I have maybe one more slot and that's it. I do have to admit, I was one of the people that when Close to My Heart closed, I went kind of bananas with all the inks, and even though I still love them, I like the modern look and feel of the inks, and I love the colors, I actually do prefer the Stampin' Up ones. I just love how juicy they are, and they just have such a great stamp payoff, if that's how I want to say it. But yeah, I really, really like those. And then I think I'm just gonna grab you guys a little bit closer so you can see what is in these little compartments here. Okay, I've zoomed you guys in, so hopefully you can see this all a little bit better. So in the first compartment here, I have a carousel. I will link it down below. This is just from Amazon, that has all my like embossing powders and like these liquid glue dots and just some like sparkly glue. And then back there, that's something I can't really easily reach, so it just has washi tapes, which is something I don't use anymore that much. I used to be really into it when I was like journaling, but I don't really want to get rid of it because I'm sure I'll find a purpose for it. So that's just back there. And then I also have some cameras back there, like some Polaroids, which I tend to which I tend to not use that much, just like maybe for some layouts here or there if I want like a special added effect. And then right here I have my Versamark ink pad or stamp pad, and my Stazon, I don't know how you say that, and Memento ink. So I have those right here. Next to that, I have the Stampin' Up catalog, but I also have these acrylic boxes from Michaels. And in this one, I keep very large, like cardboard embellishments. I have more cardboard embellishments. And then I do love the brand Cocoa Vanilla Studio, and they have all these like beautiful like alphabet stickers. I like buying alphabet stickers just because I like alternating between just like die alphabets and then these stickers, and they have them in a really small size, so it's nice if you just want to add a detail here and there, but they also do really nice like sentiments. So yeah, I have a bunch of like alphabet stickers and sentiment stickers in here. And then next to that, I have all these die stamp stencil sets from Pink Fresh Studio, and they are really beautiful. So like they have these really big, they're like one sheet stamps, and then matching die cuts and then stencils. And I will show you here below, I have the matching washi tape. And Stampin' Up! Did something similar right now with, I think it's the Extraordinary Floral Washi, where you just like roll it out on some paper and then use your die to cut it out all at once. And then I have a couple more stamp and die stencils here that are like a smaller size. And most all of these are all from Pink Fresh Studio. Next to that, I have my bin with all my flip-flaps, and then all of these back here are thicker stickers, or some other brands as well. Like I have a bunch of these like alphabet ones. I love these stickers. I think they provide so much dimension to a page because all of these are a little bit thicker, but just not too thick, and they have a lot of different like sentiments, and I really do try and use these because I always like when I go back to a page and there's like a little bit of that dimension that you can feel over. So yeah, these are a bunch of those like thicker stickers. There's a couple other brands in here too. Then navigating to this last compartment, I have another Michaels acrylic storage unit, and in here, let me scooch this over, I have all these little folders for my 6x6 paper from Stampin' Up. And then I have some paper packs. This is A5 paper packs from Cocoa Vanilla Studio. I do really love this brand. They have beautiful paper. And then back there, in the back, I have these folders with all my paper pumpkin kits. And they fit in these little folders beautifully. These are from Amazon. So I take them out of the box, put them in there, and I have these stored back here. I should definitely go through them and use some more to make some cards just so they're ready to go. Next to that, I have these like stamp silicone mats so your ink pads don't move around when you're doing ink blending. I have some watercolor, the word is escaping me, paint. Then I have my Close to My Heart sketchbooks, my Misty, this really great little, I don't know what it's called, like a little mat from Close to My Heart that I use for all my ink blending. And then this is actually really, really cool. This is from Pink Fresh Studio. One, it's super pretty, and two, it's actually really convenient. Let me take this away. It's this like pink storage container, and you can open it like that, and it has these two little flaps on each side, and I'm gonna have to be careful when I open it. But I did invest, this was prior to Stampin' Up, so I didn't know about like the Stampin' Blends. I had invested in all these like little Stampin' spots from Pink Fresh Studio, but you'd be interested to know the Stampin' spots from Stampin' Up fit in these little compartments beautifully. So this is great when you want to go like on crop retreats or whatever. You could put everything in here, just click this shut so it doesn't move around. But it's such a great storage. Then you have all your ink with you. You have almost every color you can probably imagine. I know Stampin' Up does it, or you can like ink up these little Stampin' spots. So you have everything you would want, and then you don't have to take your really heavy ink pads. Plus, I think those are really risky for like running out or just maybe ruining them from having them in a certain position. So yeah, I really like this, and it's also just really pretty. So I'll scooch that back in here, and then I will just go down one level here. Okay, so then in this compartment, I have another one of these like little stand. I think these are from Michaels or Amazon, and I have all my hot foils back here, an extra stamp chamois, some glue dots, a couple more like glue pots, this painter's tape, which is really nice, a little, what's this called again? Embossing, to remove the glue from your stickers. And then just a couple of variety elements that I use occasionally. And back there, again, I have items I don't need to reach for that much. So it's like my re-inkers, and then some dimensionals, etc. Kind of like all these extra elements that I just don't need to use that often. Next to that, in this little acrylic container, I have all my embossing folders from Stampin' Up, and I just take them out of the packaging and have them like this. I see a lot of people just label right on top of it. I might do that too. I just like that these just show you really quickly what the design is. So for now this works. And then back there I have a lot of like little stencils from a variety of different brands. Like Close to My Heart has these like stencils with embossing folders as well. So I have that in here. Next to that I have the Creative Memories tape runner and repositionable tape. I do like it, so I'm using that right now, or like testing it out, trying it out, and I am a big fan. I just felt like I was like rolling through my scrapbook.com repositional tape so fast I wanted like a bigger one, so I'm really loving that. And then next to it, which is another thing I really love, are these like borders from Creative Memories. I just feel like they add so much interest to your page. So I have a bunch of these. They're out of like a cardboard material, so they're a bit thicker. And I just really love how they look. And then I have my Avery shipping label tape. This is a Crafty Concepts with Erin tip for my journaling. I use that almost on every layout. And then next to that, like the only thing that's still kind of easily in reach, these are the washi tape I was mentioning earlier. So like it's so beautiful. This is from Pink Fresh Studios, and it's that it's the principle where you stick it down on a page and then you have the dies so you can cut all these shapes out in one go. And then next I have a couple of ink pads from Pink Fresh Studios. I just stopped buying these because then I discovered the little size they had. But I have those right there. And then next to that, in this compartment, which is a little bit more empty than the rest, I have like my folders that I use for storing my stamp paper pumpkin kits. And then I have a couple of like stamps that I put in these little folders from random brands. Like some of these are from Echo Park, and those I keep right here that I do want to still use. And then I have a couple of these little folders with my photo mats that we used to get with like Close to My Heart kits. And then at the back here I have all my photo paper. So I use Canon photo paper for 4x6, and then I use this Epson photo paper for 5x7. I really like the quality of this. And then I have a couple more like magnetic sheets and folders back there for my like organization. So down here it might get a little bit messier and I'm probably not in the frame anymore, but I just wanted to show you guys these bottom rows. So in this compartment, which is probably one of my most used ones, so it's the one that I put at the side so it's still easily accessible, I have all my paper packs. So I put these in the folders, and then I have a little label that says like Stampin' Up! Peaceful Days. So that has a paper pack in there. So I have it for all the brands that I'm the like collection, so I can easily see at the sides what it is. And for now this really does work, and I like how it's set up. Next to that, I have all my cardstock from Stampin' Up! And Close to My Heart. I do have the labels at the top, which isn't that convenient, but I just tend to just scroll through here really quick and then see the color I need. And then back there, you probably won't see it too good, I have my paper collection. So it's the same format as here. I have my little folders, but then from my older Close to My Heart collections, and I put the names here at the side so that when I sit here I can still easily read everything from the side. But yeah, so they're back here. And then next to that I have like additional photo paper, so it's kind of like extras that from the paper I put up on top. And then this is probably my favorite compartment because I love standalone dies. So this box right here is all of my standalone dies. And what I mean with that is just like the dies that I feel like they're similar to when you cut out with a Cricut machine, so you don't have to add or stamp anything first. It's the dies that in and of itself, it's sufficient. So I have Stampin' Up! In here, Pink Fresh Studio, Brass and Bliss was a brand I discovered during an expo last year, and they had the cutest cards. And their dies are typically a little bit smaller, but they're super cute for like making cards. And then probably one of my recent brands of like a big discovery of that I loved is called Honeybee. I featured it in a recent layout. I used this like netting effect for like an ocean theme layout, but they have so many beautiful dies. and I like the size of them, so I did transfer them on a bigger magnet sheet. But yeah, I have all of my dies in here. I do have a couple stamps in here that are like bigger. I do have to sort through this because at a certain point, I don't feel like this is going to be easily like flippable to go through this. And then, you know, once you're not seeing what you have, I feel like you might miss out on using items. And then next to that, I have a couple folders with kind of like very old dies, but I don't really want to get rid of them. They're dies from like random brands that maybe didn't come on like a good sheet, so I transfer them to these little folders. And then I have another die mat right here. Next to that, I have my paper pads. This is something that I don't tend to buy anymore. So I have them because I really do want to use these when I can. I just feel like there's too many papers in here that I then don't end up using because I only like, you know, several. So I have my paper pads here, and then at the top, I have all my glitter paper, which I love glitter paper. So I have those here. And then honestly, that back compartment, I don't really know what's there. I think it's just all like extras. I definitely have to go through that, but it's so hard to reach that whatever was there, it was stuff I really didn't need to use often. And then I'm gonna just pan you guys around a little bit. Okay, so then right here at the back, I have some watercolor paper. I have a box with a bunch of like pieces of paper because I really do want to stay conscious when I'm like using my paper. You know, that's maybe the only downside about our hobby is our paper usage. So when I have all these like little scraps, I put them in here because it's so nice and convenient when I'm doing a bunch of die cutting. I just go through this box and I often find what I need without having like to throw things out. And then I'm going to just pan you guys out just a little bit here. This is the last paper unit storage I have. So at the top here, I have my hot foiling machine, which I definitely want to start using again more during the winter period because it's really beautiful for cards. And then I have all my stamp blocks from close to my heart. That took a while. And then this is like white cardstock from like Joann's and Hobby Lobby, smaller cardstock like 6.5 by 8, and then large stencils and paper packs from Creative Memories. So that's what I have in here, and this has actually worked out great. This is actually super sturdy for being like a plastic unit with so much paper in it, so I'm really happy with this. All right, so this is the last like unit I have in my craft corner. So this is from Michael's, and I bought this wooden top separate from it so you can just close off that top piece, and it fits my Cricut really nicely. So that's just on top of there with some scrap paper underneath that I use for a lot of my embossing stuff to like make my sandwich in my machine, and then my Cricut mat. Then below that I have my shimmer trim from Close to My Heart, and then some other trim from Stampin' Up. Next to that, I have all my gems. So they're stored in these little containers from Michael. So I have my Close to My Heart gems, some Stampin' Up gems. I love these like Pink Fresh Studio little gems. And then again, some Stampin' Up and a couple of other brands. And then next to that, I have some bigger gems from Stampin' Up, but most of this is either pocket cards from Close to My Heart, but most of this will be embellishment packets. I had this like craze at a certain point, and I loved buying all these embellishment packets, and I still really love them. The only thing I have noticed, if I'm being super honest, is it's always much easier when you buy things in like a set. I remember I came to the US and I think this was after Close to My Heart announced they were going to close, and I was just like, it was so sad, and I was like trying to hunt for like a new brand I could stick to. I didn't actually find Stampin' Up until a lot of the demonstrators I knew from Close to My Heart had moved there. So I had bought all these like on sale, and I do love them, but it's just sometimes it's hard to coordinate with other collections. It's probably a lot easier if this would have been bought within that, you know what I mean? Like sometimes it's just hard to combine the colors. So I'm slowly but surely working my way through them. And they are really easy if you don't really know what to add. A lot of these are just like simple flowers, which are always nice to add to a page. And then at the lowest shelf, I have my box of stickers, and I do really, really love stickers. There was a whole period I was like kind of like, why did I buy these? But recently I had added them to a couple of my layouts, and I do love the dimension they provide. So I'm definitely trying to use those a bit more. A lot of those are actually really old. I've had them for a while, so I'm trying to make a conscious effort to go through them every time I do a layout and see if I have anything that I can use. And then these little like compartments you can also buy at Michael's, and they just like snap on. They have a lot of my like smaller ribbon, that's not the word, what is this called, trim. So I have those here. A lot of these are from Stampin' Up that I love to use for my tags. And then back there I have a couple of items that I don't use as much, like a scoring board. This is like to work your little embellishment to make like flowers have a little bit better dimension. My little photo cutter, a box of some additional embellishments I pre-cut. A lot of that is that washi I was talking to you guys about that you would like roll on a sheet and cut out. And then underneath that I have my punches from Stampin' Up, Creative Memories. This is another thing I really want to find another spot for it, just because it's already looking a little bit chunky, and after a while, you know, or clunky was the word. After a while, I feel like I'm just not going to remember what's there. And then next I just have my like my hot tools and a couple of like sanding tools, just like a variety of elements. Right here I have my shimmer brushes from Close to My Heart, and then at the side here I have some Cricut pens and my bigger like blending brushes to do some ink blending. And then back there I have some cheaper pencils that I just didn't want to really throw away. I do really need to move that bottom one because I've noticed that my cats tend to like bite off the tips. I don't know if that's normal. And then up there I have my 3M like bigger tape runner, which I am struggling to find tape that doesn't break every 2 seconds. So I haven't actually used that in a while. But yeah, that's the last storage unit I have. All right, that marks the end of my scrapbook room or area tour. I hope you guys enjoyed it and maybe picked up on some tips on how to, organize your scrapbook area. If it is maybe a little bit smaller like mine, I feel like a ton fits in this Skalex storage unit from IKEA. So this is definitely a win, and you could easily adapt this to other rooms if you are like working from your work desk and have one of these in your office. You could just store everything you want in there. I will do my best to link what I can in the description down below of like the storage elements that I've shown, because that way you also know like these fit in these compartments. Sorry, there's like a cat hair flying around. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you have any questions, please feel free to leave me a comment down below and I will get back to you guys. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye everyone.